All right. I mean, we're live again, I guess. We'll try it again.
See what we can do.
See what we can do. Probably gonna fucking lose you again because of this stupid ass Discord.
Oh well, we'll see what happens.
All right. We were muted on Twitch for a second. For like the first 30 seconds. But
what have you done?
Welcome everyone. Welcome back to Hard Reset Live. Attempt number 5, I think.
We're getting up there today. Yes.
I am your host, Patrick the Law Morris. Joining me this week, we have the tenacious Tim Miller.
Why, hello there.
And shout out to the effervescent Andrew Etchen and gorgeous Ben Reynolds for hanging in there for attempts 1 through 4. I called it off, and Tim and I decided we're going to give it one more shot. So it's just a nice little fireside chat this evening. But coming up,
bring the bearskin rug.
Yeah. I mean, you know,
good.
We'll stretch out on the bearskin rug. Clothing optional. We'll see how it goes. We'll see what happens. So coming up on Hard Reset this week, we finally have some new Battletoads news, which I think, Tim, you and I are actually more prone to. I think now that it's just the two of us, I think this crowd is much more interested in that news.
I'm excited. I'm really excited for Battletoads. I can't say I'm good at the original, but it's a lot of fun.
Honestly, I don't think anyone can say they're good at the original.
A few people, but yeah, no.
The co-founder of Valve, Gabe Newell, has weighed in on the next generation consoles, and we will be talking about that a little bit. Sony is being a little bit more forthcoming regarding peripherals, PlayStation 4 peripherals that will be coming to PlayStation 5. A little more forthcoming than they usually are, at least. And then one of the most popular Avengers, if not the most popular Avenger, I would say probably the most popular, will actually be a platform exclusive in the upcoming Avengers game. And then Halo Infinite multiplayer is going free to play, and there is a PlayStation State of Play coming up this Thursday, August 6th. We'll be talking just a few predictions on that. We're going to hang on to this week's topic of the show for next week. So we're just going to talk some news, maybe do some trivia, give Tim a chance to catch up. But before we get to all that, Tim, I want to know what you've been playing this week. So what have you been playing?
I've been playing a lot of different things this week. I played through Alan Wake this week, 100%. Pretty decent. I'll hold my thoughts on that because that's what the other podcast is for.
I mean, we can shoot a little bit of shit out. I like it so far. I'm halfway done.
I love the story. Gameplay is AIDS. 100% AIDS.
Yeah, gameplay is bad.
You play this game for the story. Play if you're going to play it. To anyone out there watching, listening, what have you, play it on easy. Just play it for the story.
Absolutely.
Put the gameplay out of your mind.
Absolutely. The gameplay is. There's like some seeds of interesting things in there, all executed badly.
Yep.
So, but the story, really, really cool. But I personally, I've also been playing quite a bit of different stuff. Also Alan Wake. But last night I decided because I mean, we are like pretty much entirely unpacked after the move. But
very nice.
I was leaving my handheld consoles in their boxes, just in the top of the closet, thinking like, whatever. But then I decided, no, the top drawer of my desk is going to be my handheld drawer. And so I got them all out. And I'm already glad I did, because when I did, I was like, oh, I could go for some Tony Hawk's Underground 2 remix. So I restarted that game last night. Honestly, that's one of my favorite games of all time. Like
fair enough.
That specific version, it's the definitive version of the game, and it's on a fucking handheld.
Now, is that Vita or?
That is PSP.
Okay.
I always wanted that game to come, like, just the PSP version to get ported to Vita, or not even ported, but to just be like, there, like, you can play PSP games on Vita. I just wanted to be able to play on Vita. But of course the licensing,
Yep.
not going to happen. So
That'll always get in the way.
yeah. Tony Hawk games are kind of stuck where they're at because of licensing issues.
I mean, hey, we got 1 and 2 getting re-released here soon. So
Yeah, with like 3/4 of the soundtrack. So pretty stoked on that.
That's more than I thought they would have. So
yeah, honestly, much more. And like they didn't branch out in the same way that they were going, or that they did with Tony Hawk's Pro Skater HD. Which I think is both a good and a bad thing, because like it's a bad thing in the sense that like, or it's a good thing in the sense that like they preserved the original, right?
yeah.
But it's a bad thing in the sense that like the new songs on Tony Hawk's Pro Skater HD were pretty
Not
awesome.
that great.
And I mean, I liked them, and like they fit with the tone of Tony Hawk, and I think that that's kind of like, I think as far as music goes, like that's a huge part of the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater games, is like it's an opportunity to get to know like modern punk music. And so to have a Tony Hawk's Pro Skater game that's entirely filled with older music is like, I'm stoked on it. It's going to be really awesome, but I wish that there were just a few new tracks.
We might see something. It's not out yet. So
Yeah, it's not out yet. That's true. September 4th is the big day on that one. So definitely looking forward to that.
Oh, baby.
But now it's time for the News It Now. Right now. All right.
Is Ben singing along with the News It Now?
Okay, so cool story about that. Ben and Andrew always used to make up a new song, and that was my favorite one that Ben ever did. And then I was like, okay, I want to find like just a super generic, like royalty free news, like little news jingle. And I found that, and then I just laid them on top of each other. I laid Ben singing, and it fit perfectly.
Very nice.
It sounds like he like planned it out and sang to it. And they're just two totally unrelated things that worked out.
And before Ben tells us he's secretly been singing along to news broadcasts this entire time.
Ben just has all these news broadcasts in the back of his head. Battletoads. So back at E3 2018, Microsoft announced a new Battletoads game. And of course, as Tim alluded to earlier, not a whole lot of people really great at the old Battletoads games. The old Battletoads games were really famous for being extremely difficult. Yep. And also very rare. And so, but like news and updates on this new Battletoads game have been pretty few and far between. I think the last time we saw it was like E3 2019.
Yeah. Even if like it was just like a small little teaser trailer, I don't even think we got gameplay or anything.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's been like, it was a pretty cool announcement, I thought, but then we really haven't gotten much since. But last week, Microsoft dropped on their YouTube channel a gameplay trailer with a release date at the end of August 20th. Now, this is a first-party Microsoft game, so it will be coming to Game Pass. How do you feel about this Battletoads game?
I mean, I'm going to play it. Like, I love Battletoads. Like I said earlier, I fucking suck at them. Yeah. But like, if it's free on Game Pass, of course I'm going to play it.
Yeah, I mean, I will 100% be playing this game. Then
we're co-opting that bitch then.
Yeah, definitely. Was there anything that like stood out to you as far as like you liked this or you didn't like that?
I haven't watched the trailer.
Oh, okay. then I'll go.
I'm going in blind, but that's fine. I know it's Battletoads. It should be decent.
Ooh, brace yourself. I don't love the art style.
Okay, let me take a look. I'll take a quick look here.
Yeah, definitely. I think that the art style could have been a little more tame, and a little more true to the original, and looked more like a 90s cartoon rather than someone in 2020 trying to imitate a 90s cartoon. And I think that over-exaggeration happens a lot these days, because a lot of people are like, oh yeah, you know, I mean, it happens all the time with like clothing, right? We see people are like, oh, it looks so 80s. And it's like, you know, people, yes, neon like sweats and shit was like, that happened in the 80s, but the vast majority of it was like rust colored carpeting and wood paneling. Like that's,
yep.
You're just going with a very, very stereotypical look or aesthetic of that. And I think that that's kind of what Battletoads has fallen into, is like they're trying too hard to look like a 90s cartoon, and they've just gone too far.
Yeah, just looking at it briefly, it reminds me of that new Turtles. Again, comparing them to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, looks like that new Turtles cartoon that's out currently, which, again, I can't watch because bad animation. Well, at least bad in my eyes. It's just not appealing to me.
Yeah, exactly.
The art style, it's I mean, it's whatever. So long as the gameplay is solid, it should be fine.
Yeah, definitely. And that's something that video games have that like cartoons don't, that Turtles show doesn't have, is like, I'm more willing to deal with an aesthetic that I don't like if I can enjoy gameplay. So no, absolutely. I think we'll both be playing this one and probably playing it together, because I liked Battletoads a lot when I was a kid, even though I was so bad at it. So,
did you ever make it past the first racer section?
No, God no. Did anyone?
Yeah, I maybe like maybe one person out of every 10,000. But
seriously. Yeah. No, I would just play. I think that was that the third level?
Yeah, it was like the mid of the third level.
Yeah,
it's like the midway checkpoint. Yeah,
I would just play like the beginning to there over and over again.
That's fair.
When I went over to my sister's friend's house because her brother had it. So, but anyways, Gabe Newell, maybe you've heard of him, little indie developer, started a company called Valve. Gabe Newell recently was on a New Zealand morning show where he weighed in on the PlayStation 5 versus the Xbox One or Xbox Series X. And he was just very straightforward. He was very simple about it. They asked him, PlayStation 5 or Xbox Series X, and he said Xbox Series X. And they said, why? And he said, because it's better. And that's all he had to say about it. And so, I mean, I'm kind of with him that like everything except exclusives Microsoft seems to be doing better. Granted, a console is only as good, like hardware is only as good as the software. But I think that Microsoft is doing a lot to kind of flip that on its head, and I'm going to be making a video where I go more in depth on that. So keep your eye out.
Very nice.
What do you think of Gaben weighing in and going so definitively in one direction?
I mean, if he's that confident, I might start leaning in that direction, because
it says something, right?
It does. It really does. If Valve is 100% behind Xbox, then something over at PlayStation's really gone wrong.
Yeah,
if that's the case.
I totally agree. I think that this is really a non-story, but it's just like he knows what he's talking about. So, All right. PS5 peripherals. This is not a non-story. This is very, very hard news and fact. Sony released in a blog post yesterday, August 3rd, that they released some information regarding peripherals for the PlayStation 4 that will be moving forward to the PlayStation 5. So I'm going to run down the list, and I want you to give me your thoughts as we go through each one. So they said officially licensed third-party peripherals like racing wheels, arcade sticks, and flight sticks will work on PlayStation 5.
Love it.
I love that, because while I personally don't use any of those, I've thought about buying a racing wheel, and I've looked, and I even didn't buy one because it was like $250, and I was like, I mean, next gen consoles are right around the corner.
Yep.
This is a huge show of like, we care. This is pro-consumer.
Yeah, I'm super excited about this. I have a really, really nice flight stick setup. Cost me roughly like $300. And
it's not useless now.
Yeah, I mean, I've been using it on my PC to play. Oh God, what is the name of that? Event Horizon, maybe?
Oh, okay. No, Event Horizon is that Sam Neill movie.
No, not Event Horizon. Elite Dangerous. There we go. Wow, I don't know. I was close.
Not really.
No, not at all. All right, but yeah, it's been a few months, but yeah, I mainly use it for that and other flight games. But it'll be nice. I'll be able to play like Ace Combat games with an actual flight stick. Oh,
absolutely, and that's. I think that this is a huge like show of good faith to their consumers and their player base. And this is kind of like, and I've said it on this show several times, Microsoft is just making all the right moves. This definitely seems like a Microsoft move to be honoring this.
Yep.
So I like that. I like to see that from Sony. Next one, official Sony wireless headsets and third-party headsets that use either the USB or the audio jack or both. Now, this one does affect me personally. This is huge because, like, this headset, I spent $300.
Yep.
And I mean, I spent another 100 to get it to work on my Xbox. I have one headset for my computer, my PlayStation, and my Xbox. And I have been so nervous about like, oh God, what's going to happen? Because Microsoft is already, and I say Microsoft is making all the right moves. They're kind of fucking me because they're not putting the optical audio port in the Series X.
Yep.
And so I'm going to have to find a workaround for that. But Sony being committed to those headsets is huge.
Yeah, it doesn't affect me personally, but it's definitely nice to give people the option to use any headset that they want. Honestly, I might even start using my Sennheiser with it, which would be real good.
Oh, yeah, that would be awesome. Let's see, what's next? DualShock 4 will work on PlayStation 4 games. So,
okay,
PlayStation 4 games running on the PlayStation 5, you can play them with the DualShock 4.
It's not that big a deal for me because, if I'm going to be playing games on the demos, I'll probably be using the DualShock 5.
The DualSense, exactly.
But I guess it's nice to give people the option if they feel more comfortable using the DualShock 4,
or if they want to like hit that nostalgia bone. I don't know. Nostalgia for the PlayStation 4.
It's not huge for me. That's one of those things. It's like, all right, cool, but I won't ever use it.
Yeah, honestly, I don't think it's huge for really anyone. So.
Maybe speedrunners, but I don't speedrun any PS4 games, so I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe there's an audience for that. We aren't it.
Exactly.
They also answered some frequently asked questions that they've gotten. One of them being, will the DualShock 4 work for PS5 games? And their answer was a pretty flat no. They feel that the functionality of the DualSense controller will be needed to fully experience PlayStation 5 games. The fact that they mentioned like the features and the functionality of the DualSense to me just says like no, because we're afraid that people won't develop for the special features in the DualSense. Like, and that happens. Yeah. I mean. That already happens.
I mean, also from a consumer standpoint, like I can understand why people would want this. Like, if you want to just do multiplayer with your friends,
Exactly.
Like, not having to buy like 4 new controllers in order to get all that done. You just take your old DualShock. I get that, but we're moving on. New console, new stuff. Let's go.
So here's my, because I am gonna just play devil's advocate here.
All right.
The DualShock 4 is honestly a more advanced controller than the Xbox One controller, right? It has 2 major features that the Xbox controller doesn't, which are the touchpad and, well, I guess the speaker and also the gyro. These are features that are never ever used. Not never ever, but like very rarely used. And the reason for that is because when Ubisoft is developing Assassin's Creed, they're not going to look at like, they're not going to put money into development time on the, like, and say like, oh, well, let's make sure to use the touchpad, or let's make sure to use the, the gyro. They're just going to, and so it ends up, these are features that end up being used basically only in first party games. And even then they're kind of left to the wayside. And so Microsoft had a response to this where they said, just so you know, any Xbox One controller you can use on the Series X, and you can play Series X games with any Xbox One controller. And so the fact that they're talking about this functionality, again, just playing devil's advocate, I think that functionality is going to kind of be left behind because their developers will develop to the lowest common denominator.
Yep, which is, in this case, Xbox or Switch, depending on how low they're going to go.
Exactly. So I think if developers want to, like, especially first-party developers, if they want to use the functionality, sure. Maybe if it's like single player, require the DualSense, but like if it's multiplayer, let people use the DualShock.
Yeah.
All right. So let's see where we're at. Spider-Man. So it was also announced this week that Spider-Man will be a platform exclusive character in Square's upcoming Avengers game. I don't really care about this game, so give me your thoughts.
Like, it was kind of inevitable. I mean, Sony's got a tight grip on Spider-Man. They weren't going to let him go. If that's going to be what sells it on their console to get them more money on the side of things, they're going to go for it. And I can't blame them for doing so. But exactly. At the same time, this, like you said, this game has never interested me. It does not look like a game I would have fun playing. So just giving me Spider-Man doesn't do a whole lot in that sense.
Yeah, and I mean, like, exactly. I don't care about this game very much at all. But kind of like what you said, like, they're perfectly, like, they are well within their rights. Spider-Man is probably their most valuable IP, like, in all of Sony.
Probably.
I don't ever see them giving up the rights to Spider-Man. I can't blame them. If they want to use it, use it.
Yeah. If they want to make a console exclusive, that's their right to do so. So,
exactly.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people are mad about it, but just how it goes. They own the rights to it. You can't really do much without that. So,
exactly. And one thing, like, one of the major things that this kind of made me think about is this absolutely means that Spider-Man will not ever be a part of a main storyline in this game.
Yep, he's just going to be a DLC character.
Exactly.
Essentially, dropped in it that you can just play with.
This is going to it's going to basically be a games as service type game. And so they're going to add more content down the line. But the fact that Spider-Man is relegated to one console means that they will never add story content that's like centered around Spider-Man.
We might see maybe 1 or 2 specific missions that launch with him that are console exclusive. That's about it.
Exactly. Yep. But yeah, I mean, I don't blame them. They can do what they want.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't affect me at all. So
exactly. Halo Infinite going free to play. So this past week, we got from the official Twitter account. They announced that, quote, Halo is for everyone. We can confirm Halo Infinite multiplayer will be free to play and will support 120 frames per second on Xbox Series X. More details to be shared later. End quote. Now, I think that this is a really, really smart move. Like, what do you think?
I'm a little concerned.
Okay.
Mainly because you're giving multiplayer free to play. How infinite is the campaign? If I'm paying just $70 just as a normal consumer who doesn't have Game Pass, how big is the campaign in that regard? Like, we did see a pretty big map area for the first little thing that we got to see, but even that, like, even if we're given 10 of those, I still don't think that like adds up to like the $70 if they're trying to make this like an open world game like they've been pushing. I don't know. Multiplayer wise though, I think it's great. Get people interested in Halo again, get MLG back going with it. So long as they cut out a lot of the bullshit, I think it'll be all right.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the like single player versus multiplayer, because undoubtedly it puts more weight on the shoulders of the single player campaign to like earn its keep, right?
Yep.
But to me, this feels like the single player is kind of like maybe taking a back seat, and like it's not their focus. And the reason I say that is because if you have Game Pass, you're getting Halo Infinite, all of it.
Yep.
But I think that this is basically them just one step shy of just shipping Halo multiplayer on every single Xbox Series X. Basically, I think that they are trying to make it the default, the like de facto go-to. This is the arena multiplayer shooter on Xbox.
Yeah, for the start, yeah. And I'm sure it'll bring in a lot of people.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But again, those single player campaign like implications for $70, because I'll probably end up getting it physical.
Oh yeah,
it's just
absolutely.
Halo's just one of those series that I will go in physical for nowadays.
Yeah, and $70. I mean, it like I guess it's for us. It's like, I mean, we already are getting it through Game Pass, and $70.
Yeah.
Like we'll be spending $70 just because we're big Halo fans.
Yeah, it's just going to be sitting on my shelf. That's legit the only reason I'm buying it.
I will,
but like,
probably never even use the disc.
I probably won't ever open it either. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, like for the normal consumer who doesn't have Game Pass, who's just getting into Xbox on the ground floor, Series X, this is their first console, got to go out and buy a $70 game to play it, or they can just play the multiplayer. It just makes me think people aren't going to go out and buy the game now. They're just going to play the multiplayer because that's all people have time for these days, just small little multiplayer games.
Yeah.
Like, why do you think Battle Royale got so popular?
Yeah, definitely. And then also, like, on top of that, I was thinking maybe it could be used as like a gateway drug for Game Pass.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you like the multiplayer? And maybe even just to like, not the entire multiplayer, but maybe keep something behind that paywall of like Firefight or Warzone or something like that. Like, you know, pay for Game Pass and get even more of this thing that you already like.
Plus a campaign to play. So
Exactly.
Have fun.
Yeah, definitely.
I think it's good. I think there's some iffy implications from it, but I guess we won't know until it turns out, will we?
Yeah,
So.
No, we won't. But I mean, I don't know. I'm hopeful. I'll say that.
I'm wary at best.
And then we have our last story of the week. And I want to dig into this one a little further. The Sony has scheduled a state of play which is their version of like the Nintendo Direct, for Thursday, August 6th. What are they going to talk about?
I hope we get a price.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, is like they've got to tell us a price and they've got to set up pre-orders. Like, I think price, release date, pre-orders.
We got to know now. Like, any longer than this, and they're going to be starting to lose out on sales.
Yeah, I mean, because people, like, these things are not cheap, and people have to plan to buy them.
Yep.
So, I think it's going to be price, release date, pre-orders. Do you want to lock in a release date prediction?
Let me take a look at my calendar here.
Yeah, make sure it's on a day that makes sense.
I'm going to go with November 16th. I'm sorry, 17th.
A Thursday?
No, that's a Tuesday. November 17th is a Tuesday.
Okay. November 17th. So you're going with a Tuesday.
Yep.
Okay. When Cyberpunk is November 19th, right?
Maybe. I mean, Lord willing.
Yeah. Let's see here. Cyberpunk release date. Cyberpunk is November 19th, which is a Thursday. That's weird. I'm going to say November 13th.
That Friday before.
Yeah. So the PlayStation 4, my logic behind that is the PlayStation 4 launched on a Friday.
Okay.
I think that they have a pretty good idea of when the Xbox will launch. And I think that Microsoft has been so in bed with CD Projekt Red on Cyberpunk that I think, CD Projekt Red said, hey, when they did their last delay, they figured if we're going to delay, let's just hit the same day as the Xbox or maybe the day before. And so I think the Xbox will come on the 20th and the PlayStation will get a week ahead, which if you remember 2013, the PlayStation was 1 week ahead of the Xbox and they were both on Fridays.
Okay.
So I think the PlayStation will be November 13th. Xbox will be November 20th. Maybe they'll just pull a Sega Saturn and say, and you can buy it right now at Toys R Us. Jesus Christ, that was a mess.
And then PlayStation just walks out on stage, $199.
Yeah.
And then we're good.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I mean, I feel like that has to be what this state of play is going to revolve around. Like, can you think of anything else that it might possibly be?
I mean, maybe a few games, maybe a teaser for God of War 2.
They have to do some games.
Yeah, but like it's gonna be console release. Like, I can't imagine it being much else, unless they got some brand new spanking IP that's gonna blow us out of the water.
Yeah, I mean, so I think it could be a few things. It could be a game they think is a big deal, but really isn't that big a deal. Kind of like Avowed looks great, but like I think Microsoft put a little too much stock in Avowed.
Yeah, I don't think that's not a killer of any kind. I don't think.
Yeah, nobody's like, oh my god, I got to buy a Series X to play Avowed. No, nobody's saying that.
Yeah. No.
Trying to think of like anything else. I mean, so maybe it's something that like they think is a bigger deal than it is. Or maybe they're saying like maybe they open with like Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
Or maybe they open with like more of a deep dive into Miles Morales. And then
possibly, maybe
because Spider-Man 2, they don't want to stomp on Miles Morales. But maybe they open with a deep dive into Spider-Man Miles Morales. They tell us the price, they tell us the release date, they tell us the pre-order, and they close with God of War 2.
Yeah, maybe we'll see more in Horizon 2. Maybe we'll...
Yeah.
Huge shot in the dark here. Jack 4.
Ooh, I would be... Like, that's the sort of game that they would... I mean, that or God of War 5, I would... Yeah. Those are the games that I'm like, oh, yeah. That's why... like, that sticker shock of, $600... I'm gonna buy it because of God of War 5 or Jack 4 or trying to think of what else they could use to convince me. Oh, PlayStation All-Stars 2.
WWE VR. There you go.
Ooh, I actually am into that. VR porn.
I figured you would. Yeah, there you go. Just load it right on your console.
Yeah. No, so I think we're going to get hardware price, release date, pre-order, and something huge that will convince people this is why you're going to spend this much money on it. Something that they didn't have at the last conference, and something that people will be really, really stoked on. So, I mean, like I said, we're gonna save our topic of the show for next week. So next week we're going to be talking about iconic weapons. I hope you have some to come with. You know what?
I typically don't use weapons to come, but I'll bring some.
All right. You're going to get a chance to get some trivia back here. So it's time for the weekly trivia challenge.
D, final answer. No.
That worked well for you last time.
It did.
All right. Horror games have some of the most iconic characters, if for no other reason than they simply scare the shit out of us. While it's been a while since Pyramid Head has made us soil ourselves, he still manages to scare me every time since his debut in what game? Now, I have multiple choice ready. You were the only one I thought might get this.
Yep.
So do you want to just try and double your points and do it without the multiple choice?
I'm pretty sure I know the answer.
If you get it wrong, you don't get the multiple choice.
Oh, shit. I'll double down. I'll go for it.
Okay.
I'm going to go with the Silent Hill.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
Well, Tim, you should have used the multiple choice.
Which one was it then?
Pyramid Head debuted in Silent Hill 2.
Oh, that's bullshit.
Wow, what a time to lose audio. Oh, man. Tim
Semantics.
Silent Hill and Silent Hill 2 are definitely different games.
It's the same goddamn series.
I didn't say what series did Pyramid Head debut in. I said what game.
Yeah, stick a dick.
All right. Well, that's all we've got for you guys tonight. If you liked what you heard, don't forget to subscribe and leave us a rating and review on whatever platform you found us on. You can see everything we do, including our other podcast, Game Pass Anonymous, all in one spot over at coldnorthpro.com. We will be back next week talking about whatever happens in the next 7 days and also iconic weapons of video games. So until then, reset.
No. I refuse this time.
You get so bitter.
I am bitter.
You get so bitter, like when you couldn't figure out how many buttons were on the DualShock 4, and you said, "Oh, are you counting the reset button?" And I'm like, "You called it a button?"
yeah, fuck off.
And,
suck a dick.
And when you guys, when Andrew said, "Oh, is it Riddick?"
Yup.